All right. We are back, not to cast a game quite yet, but to discuss some of the standings. Hello again, viewers on Twitch. As a reminder, I am the Nurk, and I am joined again by my best friend and co-caster, Psycheric. How you doing, Psy?
Hey, I'm still living, still here. Pulse is going a little bit higher from the last games we just watched.
Yeah, those were some pretty good games. It's really too bad IDK yet, I'll change this later, wasn't able to pull it back against Cleaner Crew. We mentioned it a little bit earlier, but they got, I mean, let's not beat around the bush. They got pretty unlucky with the seeding there. Cleaner Crew is one of the heavy hitters in this tournament, to be sure. They're very, very good at the game. They spend a lot of time practicing, and they have a strategy all their own that not every team has even figured out how to beat after scrimming them multiple times. You know, let alone poor IDK yet having to go against them for the very first time right there in the match. They probably got caught a little bit off guard. That's not really their fault, but you know what? They put up a hell of a fight.
And, especially, it shows how powerful a lot of that scrim time can be, getting that practice in. And, speaking of practice, we got some alternatives with your,
Well, one of the things we wanted to talk about real fast here, since we have a couple minutes, we have a couple games still going on. We don't have the ability to hop in and just start broadcasting those in the middle. Some logistical issues with trying to do that on our end. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to wait until the next set of matches before we can show you guys some more gameplay. But if you're ever looking for more ways and times to play some competitive or organized Swarm, you can absolutely pop down into our panels underneath the broadcast, click on the Discord button, and head over to our Discord channel, the Riptide Gaming. We host regular pickup games there. Currently, they're every Tuesday. We're looking to expand or change that schedule as well, based on whenever people might be available to actually come show up and play. So pickup games, for anyone who doesn't know, is we have a bot made by one of our staff who will automatically create balanced teams so that you can play as sweaty as you want in a matchmaker format, and nobody's going to leave, no one's going to exploit, no one's going to be toxic. It's a really great way to come meet people in the Back for Blood community, maybe put together a team of your own, then you can show up in one of these tournaments in the future.
And, I think that it's one of the best ways. It's a great community. It is why I love Swarm, to be completely honest. Like, I love the game. I love the strategy around it, but the community, getting to talk with everyone, get to fight, have those little stories, hash stuff out, get stung, get knocked off the map, but you're gonna get, next time you're gonna pull them off the map, you're gonna explode her in their face.
A better Swarm player for it at the end of the day. Anyways, let's start talking about the bracket that we have here. Like I said, we're waiting for the next round of games to actually get into some more gameplay content for you guys. But in the meantime, we can discuss the bracket. So we just watched Cleaner Crew 2-0 IDK yet. It was actually a lot closer at the end than the scoreboard up on the brackets makes it look, because as IDK yet continued to play, they got very they adapted. They were varied. They tried new things, and you could just tell from watching their gameplay, they were in it to win it. They had the mindset. They just couldn't quite pull it together at the end to bring it to a reverse sweep. But I promise, even the 2-0 is deceptive. That game was much closer than anyone would have expected it to be for how much experience the Cleaner Crew has. Now, we had not watched either of the matches up top on the bracket. That's going to be Back2Fort versus Bill's Diggity, or EB versus Unit 5. Go ahead and tell us about those, Sai.
Well, I am very excited. We just actually got the 2-0 from the side of Back2Fort to Bill's Diggity. So that is all locked in. We're actually waiting on the question mark versus Bearded Men. But for EB versus Unit 5, it seemed like it was a 2-0. And I am very excited to see some of the people from our good old Team 5. That's going to be our friends Inferno, Keithus. I am Taki, and To the Death. Those are some heavy regulars coming in. That is going to be, if you guys saw on the side, bottom half of the bracket, that's going to be pretty much equal to the firepower you're going to see from Cleaner Crew, showing some very dominant Ridden side play specifically.
Definitely, Unit 5 and Back2Fort is looking to be a really, really close match. Both of those teams have really good strengths and only a couple weaknesses. they've scrimmed each other a couple times. So unlike this last match we just watched with Cleaner Crew and IDK yet, Back2Fort and Unit 5, we may actually see a lot more back and forth because these teams already know who they're going up against. They might be a little bit more prepared. I wouldn't even be surprised if they're making changes to their decks right now. I mean, right now, especially to go deal with what they think they're about to go play against.
And you know, I gave a little bit of praise, a bit of praise to our good friends on Unit 5, but Back2Fort has a lot of strategy behind a lot of what they're doing. Their engagements, from what we know about looking at some of the scrims, some of the pug play that a lot of the players come in and do. They have a lot of strategy to how they play on Back2Fort, and I'm very excited to see how they adapt, because that is one of their big strengths on Back2Fort's side here.
And just in general, I'm fairly certain. And you know, I can't guarantee this, right? I haven't like fact checked it with everybody. I haven't gone down a list and made sure this is the truth. But I'm fairly certain that Back2Fort actually scrims more than any other team in this bracket. Every time I see them in any VCs in our server and other servers, they are always either looking for a scrim or playing in a scrim or in our pickup games to warm up for a scrim. They're like constantly practicing. And to be honest with you, I was actually telling some people earlier, just on our staff, I'm surprised that I don't think they're going to be a shoe-in for first place. I think Unit 5 and Cleaner Crew are their biggest threats. Those are both teams they've scrimmed before, and those are both teams that they go pretty even with when they scrim as well. So definitely isn't a sure thing, despite the fact they have a lot of practice time under their belt. These other two teams, Cleaner Crew and Unit 5, they're just so versatile. And I think especially in the case of Cleaner Crew, if it does end up being Back2Fort versus Cleaner Crew in the grand finals, that strategy that strategy Cleaner Crew has with the double stinger, double tall boy is just not one that Back2Fort is very good at countering, right? Back2Fort relies a lot on, like you said, this kind of team play to make these proactive plays happen. And when you're playing against Cleaner Crew, what you really need is team play for defensive plays. You wait for the stinger to go in or overpeak, and you have to pocket your sniper so that they can get capped instantly. And you watch them not get any of their farm to get the stinger build all the way up, right? So what I'm saying is this could go a lot of ways still. Nothing is for sure. We don't know who's going to win between Back2Fort and Unit 5. Down in match 4, that is question mark versus the Bearded Men of Space Station 11. You can't see the whole name on the bracket. I think it cuts off slightly. It's a very long name. We still don't know who's going to win that one.
It though. I absolutely love that name. They got my heart just from that. You know, who knew it was that easy? And something else that's going to be very interesting here. I am very excited for Back2Fort. You know, we know how aggressive they can be, especially on the written side. They are in sync. That, you know, they'll have bruisers around the corners waiting for the resources to be spent on the first tall boy come in, and also they are on the cleaner sides equally aggressive. They will push you if you try to overpeak on that stinger. They're gonna come. They're gonna make you go back to that spawn room, get that timer, because you are out of position, and that's what I want to see. I want to see some great play today.
So, you know, there's some more we could talk about here as well. In some of the games that already done, right? We could have some things to say about those as well. So, for instance, if we go back a little bit to Back2Fort versus Bills McDiggity, that game also heavily favored Back2Fort. Bills McDiggity was another team that got a little bit unlucky in the seeding. I believe they were our only match-made team in the tournament. So for those of you who don't know, we allow 2 ways to sign up for our events. You can sign up as a pre-made team, which gives you registration priority, or you can sign up as a solo or with a friend, and we'll match make you a team for you. If you don't have a team, or if you're new to the scene and you don't know where to go to get a team together, or if you just didn't have time to attend any pickup games, we can do that for you. But the fact remains, you ended up having Back2Fort, which is one of the most practiced teams in the bracket, against, I believe, the only match-made team in this particular bracket. So Bills McDiggity had a very uphill battle to climb there. It's too bad they couldn't make it happen. But, I mean, props to them for doing the best that they could still.
And, you know, next, We're definitely probably going to be doing more tournaments. This has been a absolute blast from the production team and everyone, the moderators. We just want to say thank you for stopping in and giving us a look. What I will say though is if you're interested in any tournaments that may be coming up or just news and things that we'll be doing in the future, our Twitter is linked in the description below. It's one of those buttons that you can click and then click the follow button. Is Riptide Gamers. And we'll have more information, posts, and just information, all of the luck. So if you want to check it out, I'll be around. I'm making some of the memes. I'm a little bit biased. I'm not gonna lie there. But it'd be great to see you. Love the interaction.
Never miss out on another Riptide tournament, right? Gotta get that FOMO going. That's how you do marketing now. Okay, fear of missing out. That's what it's all about.
Really,
4 letters.
I thought it was just add a big red circle on your next post and just
red arrows.
Circle. Yeah.
Red arrows.
Well, circles, arrows, all the lot. Just gotta drag the eye. And like that, I'm gonna have us drag our eye to the chat because I would like to see some hearts in there, please.
Now, I do believe the next game is going to be underway fairly soon. Next couple of minutes, we'll be getting you guys some more gameplay content. I know that's why you guys are actually here. I mean, I'm sure you guys love hearing our amazing hypnotic voices. We could talk for hours, and I'm sure we would never, ever bore any of you, right? I mean, my voice isn't grating at all, right, Sai?
No comment.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. But you don't have to worry about that much longer. We're going to be getting into the next game very shortly here. This is going to be Unit 5 versus Back2Fort. So again, just to recap what we just talked about, Back2Fort is one of our favorites to make it to the grand finals. They are very well practiced. They scrim all the time, and they can be very dynamic. They make a lot of very aggressive team plays. Meanwhile, on the other side, the POV we don't have is going to be Unit 5. This was a team that got together just for this tournament, but that doesn't mean that they were thrown together willy-nilly. There's a lot of powerhouse individual players on that team, especially players to watch are going to be Inferno. He's a pretty good shot caller. He plays Tallboy as well. Keithastus has a great exploder in his back pocket. He likes to whip that out anytime he thinks players are maybe standing a little bit too close together, needs to remind him to socially distance, right? And then also another player to watch is going to be To The Death on the other team. That's going to be usually a gym player is what I expect him to play. And we'll see him probably playing snipers to shut down those stingers and hawkers and wretches that are going to be all over the place on the high ground.
Yep. And we're seeing actually on the cleaner side here, once again, we're seeing that Holly showing how important that horde clear can be. Let your, whoever's running that sniper get the shot and not have to deal with those, common grabbing at your handkerchiefs. You don't want that when you're trying to aim that shot, especially with how powerful those hawkers are going to be. And I'm hoping we're going to see some more wretch this game. We know how powerful it can be, especially with that anti-heal bonus if you rush that. But I'm interested to see what we're going to see here.
Absolutely. So it looks like our team comp going to be very standard here from Back2Fort. Looking at a very normal, just like last time, Doc, Carly, Mom with a Holly flex pick. Mentioned it last game. That's usually what you're going to see. Doc, because the extra healing efficiency and trauma resistance allows your team to get stabilizations way easier, way faster. Carly, because the toolkit she brings in allows your team to get an immediate economy advantage for the cleaner side by getting that extra card in round 1. And then you see Mom, because her insta-res ability is 1 free stabilize on any pick or bad-looking fight. Can even do it in the middle of an engagement. And then you see Holly as a common flex pick here. Doesn't need to be a Holly, but adds a lot of horde clear and a lot of defense capabilities to the team.
Alrighty, that is a very early spawn coming in, getting some damage, and we're seeing another exploder come in. That is a instant 3-man exploder coming in, showing how powerful that can be, jumping off from the high ground, and that is a lot of value. That wretch I was talking about before, spewing off from the high ground, making that area difficult to escape those exploders' hugs.
So we're going to see Panfry running the Stalker. That is a player to watch here on Team Back2Fort. He's going to be constantly staring at that high ground, splitting his attention between these tall boys, just like that. And anyone up top.
Those tall boys hard engaging, trying to focus down the mob. The nade coming out, knocking him off the battlefield here, but the second tall boy coming in, getting that stall. The Wretched Goo making it really difficult for those hordes to engage here, and they're going to be able to stabilize. Tall boy Re coming in, nade knocking them back down. Not getting the knock here, the Wretch making it more and more difficult as they continue to get here. And Wretch coming back up.
You want to point out that anti-heal actually made the mom here, that's going to be Mun, waste 2 different bottles of pills trying to just stabilize over the next engagement. Combat medic.
And the mom getting re-knocked here. Carly sitting on a sliver of health. The anti-heal from the mom res not going through from that combat heal and showing how powerful this Wretch strategy can actually be. And we should be seeing some tall boys coming in here taking another fight.
Looks like they're trying to play the propane here under the gas station for the next fight. I saw them pinging it just a moment ago. Got to make sure everyone's full health for the next engagement. They still have lots of supplies here too.
Tall boys re-engaging, getting naded out once again, showing how powerful keeping those resources up can be. And the exploder strategy coming in once again. It's very interesting. Seeing a lot of exploder tonight.
We are, and I mean, I did warn you, right? I said Unit 5, you got Keith Assist. That man knows how to play a good exploder. His timing is immaculate, not just with the placement, but where he shows up, where he spawns. Nobody's ever looking at him until it's too late. We're going to see Back2Fort here with propane.
And the knock coming in, actually, I think from the propane, possibly. And a Wretch coming in. 2 knocks on the side of the Ridden here. And a lot of aggression. They might be able to get this knock. The Wretch Goo actually taking out the dock as the tall boys hard engaged. They won't have their mom res. They won't have what they're looking for. Wretch is getting up in the face, and that should be it. 243.
With a time of 2:43, incredibly middle of the road. This is looking to be a really close match just from the get-go. A time of 2:43. I don't think it could be any more in the middle. I mean, this is absolutely a time that Unit 5 can play around on their cleaner side. They can meter their economy to eke it out to the 2:43 mark, or they can get absolutely stomped. 2:43 is also enough time for the Ridden on Back2Fort to build up an economy of their own with their mutation points, and then maybe go for a clean engage somewhere around the 2-minute mark.
Very, very interesting. We're actually seeing on the side of the Ridden here, they're looking at that menu. They're trying to develop their strategy right now. Those initial points, kind of setting the strategy, getting that tall boy offense and plus damage. So we're going to be seeing some Wretch here on the side of the Ridden tonight.
I'm almost positive that what they're going for here, the reason they upgraded damage first is not to try to get kills faster. I'll educate all of you. It's to increase the rate at which they can farm more mutation points. The Wretch plus damage and then raw damage upgrades in general are a 2-level dip that you can get immediately before the round even starts, and both of those damage upgrades will affect the Wretch vomit damage over time, the damage per tick. And that is one of the easiest ways to start building up a collection of mutation points very early in the round.
Very interestingly, we can see from the side of Mun and What a Dick, they're actually picking off single targets and watching their inventory. They're trying to get a grasp on the resources that we're seeing from the side of the cleaner so they can prepare, know who has the nades, who has the resources, who is a threat, and who is not, and that is what they want to know so they can take them out first.
Absolutely. You find out, say, someone has 2 nades and a defib, well, they're probably the best first target to go for in any given fight, because you get those 2 nades out, or if the person with the defib goes down, well, they're not using any of that stuff until someone else picks them up. Let's see how they formulate this first fight here with an exploder.
Actually delaying their spawns, it looks like, waiting for the first wave, possibly?
Looks like it.
And that was a double nade coming in immediately, it looked like. So getting those resources out very early, but you can hear those Wretch ticks. Tick, 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 tick. Every tick is going to be more money in the bank for these mutations here.
Indeed, that's exactly what we said they were probably looking to do, is a lot of farm, get those upgrades up for their tall boys. You're probably going to see them now start to rush towards burst bonus or anti-healing. Either one can start to set up openings for real team fight winning plays to be made.
And Molly, and getting flashed into Molly, that's not going to be a good one. Going to be a little bit toast in the morning. And a lot more ticks, getting that 880 points, and there it is, right there for the Wretch side. That's going to be their anti-heal.
Anti-heal is their first choice, trying to open this up as the ring immediately starts to push Unit 5 out of the corner they felt so comfortably like they were holding. We're going to see the next engagement come through here.
Doc getting hard engaged on. Two of them on the cleaner side, incredibly low. Having that Wretch goo, making it more and more difficult. And the nade onto the Wretch on the high ground. Showing that they needed to get them out now. Allowing them to stabilize.
You know, the downs are great and all, at least especially for the point farm, but when all four Ridden die at once, there's not a lot of follow-up to actually make anything happen. And especially as a tall boy, you want someone alive near the back of the fight to confirm those kills. Extra exploder right there from the center, getting more displacement, but to be honest with you, probably should be sending the exploder in first or after the first tall boy, and then have the second tall boy come in. I think twice now we've actually seen Back2Fort give Unit 5 some double nades to easily deal with the tall boys, like maybe right now.
And there is the knock onto their Doc, trying to push him off into the zone here. Flash does come out. They do not have the mom res, I don't think. And their 7 seconds is going to be another respawn of the tall boys, and this will be their second wave. I don't know if they're going to be able to stabilize quick enough.
I'm not sure they have to. With less than 20 seconds left on the timer, any kills they get now are permanent. If they kill this bruiser, he is out for the round. They might do this all the way to the end of the last 10 seconds here. I don't know if the Ridden side can pull it back. Back2Fort might not own the first round, despite being my personal favorite to win the whole thing.
There it is. And we're going to see our... That is a... This is going to be a spicy game tonight. Unit 5 taking the first round here tonight. This is going to be very exciting. I wonder how map 2 is going to go. What's your thoughts here?
I think it's going to go really back and forth. I think that whole thing was really, really close. If Back2Fort can clean up their tall boy engages a little bit, stop giving them so much double value with the nades, and stagger themselves a little bit more, right? So you have a tall boy go in and then a support like an exploder, and then the next tall boy. I think they might get a lot more mileage out of their tall boy damage output, because right now what's happening is you send both tall boys in at once and then they both die at once. Right, and that's not great, especially when even with that split damage, each tall boy is only doing 1 to 2 hits before they die. You need to be doing more than that, or you're not actually going to make any significant progress towards eating through Unit 5's meds.
Very interestingly, we're actually seeing some common upgrades on the side of... On the side here. This is... I was not expecting a common upgrade this early for round 2 here for Back2Fort. It shocked me a little bit there.
That is actually really surprising that they've done that before getting burst bonus on the bottom tree for the tall boy upgrades. Usually, on most teams that run tall boys as their staples for damage, you rush to the burst bonus pretty much as fast as you can reasonably justify, because the damage resistance that you get while bursting means that you can actually take a grenade to the face and then still do 1 hit's worth of damage. It's a great way to ensure you're getting some minimum amount of value out of your tall boys, even if the other team is very willing to use nades every round. So I agree with you. I'm very surprised we're seeing common upgrades already, but the reason for that is probably because Unit 5 is not running a Holly. They have no dedicated horde clear, and so they may be thinking if they overrun the team with commons, perhaps that's going to make more openings. Do they have improved slow? I'm sure that's probably what they got for the commons to make this strategy work. If they're dealing with the commons, they have no dedicated horde clear. Your tall boys, I mean, I still think they should have burst bonus, but maybe they don't need it as badly since everyone's looking at the commons.
And first fight starting to develop here. First tall boy getting burned almost instantaneously. Second staggering their way up. Playing out of the range of the... Oh my god, an initial knock on the Evangelo, showing how powerful letting those tall boys live can be. And I don't know if that was the mom res. I think that was just Doc was a little bit of our res speed here.
Yes, I believe it was just a speedy res. The next fight's going to look very similar to that one. We're going to see Unit 5 probably play the propane this fight, knowing they can't do exactly what they just did.
And Evangelo gets knocked off the high ground, pushing them back onto the low ground. Second tall boy re-engaging, forcing his 2 nades on the tall boy and some common after that. I don't know if that was intentional there.
I don't think that it was. I think the first nade whiffed and hit some map geometry or something. Just somehow didn't hit the tall boy. But I believe Unit 5, again, still has their propane up top. They just need to not get knocked off, keep owning up there. It's not just because it's a defensive location. It's because they're keeping them from spawning there.
Off the high ground and knocked. The second tall boy might be able to get the second knock flashbang coming out from the dock onto the tall boy, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. They don't get the hit here.
Yeah, those tall boys need to be landing every single one of those overhead slams. Every single one that you miss is a med kit that the defending team doesn't have to use, and that adds up, man.
Mm-hmm. And there might be a knock off the Rechku here. Oh, their painkillers are actually keeping them alive here. That temporary health showing how potent it can be, but it is not potent enough to keep yourself off that overhead slam. And that was the mom res there. The res here.
As a quick note, you may notice some electricity in the explosive clouds from some of those grenades, and what that means is that the person who threw that grenade is running Bomb Squad in their deck. Bomb Squad doubles the damage from your grenades. It's kind of considered a staple in the meta right now. It allows you to completely annihilate double tall boys when they stack up on top of themselves like that, giving you a free reset. No way to live through it. Doesn't matter if you're burst bonus, doesn't matter if you're bruiser. If they've got Bomb Squad, you're dying to that nade.
Alrighty. 3 seconds, we're going to be seeing our tall boys re-engage here. 1 left on the low ground. I don't know if that's intentional. Evangelo actually getting split off, knocked into the zone. Painkillers, once again, keeping them alive, showing how powerful that temporary health can be.
Yes. The temporary hit points from the, I believe they are running something with Numb. They don't have a dedicated melee player, but they may actually be running the Vanguard Numb combo. It's a bit hard to tell. They have given the spawns up top to the Ridden side. That could be devastating.
And the Evangelo does get knocked here. Full killed, actually. Re-engaging, pushing onto their mom. 1 left is going to be the Doc, I believe, or Carly. And they're knocked in the zone. And that's it.
Well, let this be a warning to you. When you are on this map, you do not hold up top because it's easy. You hold up top because you have no other choice. The second you drop, you give the best spawn in the game to all 4 players on the other Ridden team. You need somebody up there. That's really what this whole map comes down to. It's about trying to hold the top so that the Ridden can't spawn there. If you ever have to take a fight from the bottom and the ring is forcing you anywhere near the building, you better get ready to use nades. Better have some left, because it's usually too late at that point. So, switching sides here, we'll have to see exactly what the cleaner strategy is going to be for Back2Fort. They will probably emulate exactly what I just talked about. They'll need to have someone sitting up top to make sure that they can't get free farmed, especially because they know Keithestus likes to play Exploder. I'm sure they made a note of that last time, and I think some of the people on Back2Fort even know a lot of the other players that they're going against right now. So if they have any inkling at all of an idea that Exploder could be in play here, they should know that giving up this top building for that Exploder spawn would almost certainly mean the end of the game, or at least the end of their item economy. Interestingly, we're actually going to see them put the stockpile up on the roof. So anyone who doesn't know about that, the most efficient way to go about the game as the cleaner is to pick a spot to create a stockpile for all your items, drop everything there, and then as you rotate from spot to spot and decide where you want to take each fight, you stop by your stockpile each time to grab more stuff. And that way everything is in one spot. You don't have to go around the map looting. It is the minimum amount of movement around the map required to efficiently access your entire economy. Usually, though, in this map, you would see the stockpile placed somewhere on the bottom, with the expectation being that the Ridden will eventually knock you off the roof. It does not look like Back2Fort is going to be thinking that. They are thinking they are going to hold the roof. Definitely. We'll see if that pays out.
So something we actually I caught real quickly at the very start of the game actually is that Mun and What a Dick actually are pulling in that Numb Vanguard combo you were talking about. Tall boy
The
getting
fantastic
instantly
combo.
naded. Second tall boy trying to climb up, but it's going to be a very quick death with the power swap AH12 build that we're seeing on Mom here. Oh my, a very quick death. Was that an exploder? And the second exploder coming in, knocking them away. Oh, the cleaner side's health is getting slowly knocked down. The Wretch Goo pulling in. They already used their Mom res. They don't have it here. That is a 30-second force.
That is some pretty incredible damage from the Ridden side, and there's not a lot of time to reset. Immediately, they're going to have to use some nades to go for this reset. Their economy is in shambles, and they still have more than 2 minutes to go.
That is a full kill onto Carly and a re-knock onto Doc here. This goo showing how potent it's going to be. They're not going to get their temporary health, and that Doc might instantly die here if they get rezzed in the goo.
Yeah, I'm not sure the Mom can take this. They should not be standing in the goo going for this. There's extra pus damage on that. It's not worth it, man.
Mom gets re-knocked, but the res speed on the Doc pulling them through. Doc getting full killed, and Mom as well. It's going to be just Holly's survivability, but with that goo and the anti-heal, it is not enough.
A decisive round 2 from Unit 5. Honestly, a little bit of a dark horse there. I'm not really sure how that happened. Back2Fort must have screwed up somehow up at the top. Maybe they let themselves get knocked out a little bit, or knocked off the roof a little bit too early. Maybe it was the fact that they didn't have their stockpile somewhere on the low ground for when they inevitably did, which meant they were defenseless once they were on the low ground. Or maybe someone was a little bit greedy, still looking for loot when that timer ran out and made an opening for Unit 5 to capitalize on and punish. That was incredibly decisive. I'm not that worried. I'm sure Back2Fort has the ability to come back from this. In the next round, we're going to see probably they're going to revamp some of their play. They know this is it. If they win this round, they will walk home with something, right? This is the semifinals, and we are giving cash prize of $40 per player to the winning team of the grand finals, and a cash prize of $10 per player to the losing team of the grand finals. So if you win this game, you are getting money.
That is per person as well. That's $40 per person on each team, and then $10 per person to the second team. So spice up the pot a little bit. I believe that part of that decisive victory, the first engagement, there was a exploder that climbed up the side into where the tall boy was knocking them in. I don't know if that was intentional, but that was the first domino that really showed how dominant their offense could be here. Props to Unit 5 altogether. That was an amazing performance.
Yeah, I'm incredibly impressed by Unit 5 and how decisively they were able to punish every teeny tiny mistake. To be honest with you, I knew Unit 5 was going to have a strong cleaner side. I did not expect their Ridden side to be so oppressive. Besides Keith's admittedly quite good exploder, I wasn't really sure what else we were going to see. But I think what we saw is Death. So that is going to be DBD is actually the name it goes by in Back for Blood. I believe he was playing Wretch, and his Wretch is also very good. There was some fantastic goo coverage all over the top of the building, and that made it pretty much impossible to even go pick stuff up from their stockpile, which, again, Back2Fort put their stockpile on the building. That's not usually what you'd want to see. Usually you're going to put the stockpile underneath the building so that when you get knocked off of it, not if, when, you can go immediately resupply as you reset to the next fight.
And, especially DBD to the death. Setting up, playing that high ground, we know how powerful the Wretch can be. This man has a PhD, it looks like, in projectile science. And he is landing those targets every single time. Putting your resources all on the high ground, right where you're going to want to play. You're setting yourself up to not have a plan B. Because he's going to hit it, and you're going to get knocked off. Those are essentially the rules for playing that map there, and that's something to work on in the next time. I think Back2Fort has a opportunity to adapt, play a bit better, and maybe have some different maps here. So I guess we're gonna have to see. I'm hoping for a solid round 2 from Back2Fort here.
I think we will see an improvement over this last round. There's another thing that stood out to me, having thought about it now for a couple minutes, and that was their damage output. I'm not sure if you agree with me, but to be honest, it seemed a little bit low. I mean, I've scrimmed Back2Fort before, and their damage can be pretty scary if they're all shooting the same thing. But it felt like, at least especially in that last round, that every time a tall boy showed up, it just took absolutely forever to die.
Mm-hmm. Ready. And it looks like we're going to be loading into pipe cleaners today for our first part of this map. And we know how deadly this little valley in the middle of the map can be. I'm
This
very
is
excited. We might be seeing some Stinger, Stalker, anything on this map.
Yeah, CC is very, very good on this map in particular. It's very ridden-sided, so that means you're going to see a lot of average low survival times for the cleaner. I think it's fairly rare to see a time above 3 minutes for this map in particular, and that's if you're doing well. If you're really, really stomping, you can maybe push it up to 4, but to be honest, I actually don't think, in my whole time playing and watching and casting Swarm, I don't think I've ever seen a pipe cleaners map go to 5 minutes, which is saying something, because a lot of other maps, I mean, obviously 5 minutes are not the most common, right? But at least I've seen them on a lot of other maps if one team is really, truly stomping. But that's not going to be the case here. It's going to be very ridden-sided. So it's going to be a race to see who can kill the other cleaner team fastest, like under 2.5 minutes even.
And coming in from like even a map design area, right? You have these high grounds on the opposite sides of the valley, Death Valley as we'll call it. And then there's this giant pit. The giant pit, well, it's already dug for you. If you land in it, you're in a living grave. There's almost no chance once you land in the pit to be able to sustain your way out of it. It's a death sentence. And, you know, I'm seeing, you know, that exploder, that wretch. The cleaner side kind of don't want to touch it. They don't want to get near it at all because it is a very dangerous place to be. And
yeah, the that little platform that you just saw them looting up, where I believe What a Dick was actually just standing a moment ago. That is sort of a bait for the cleaners. It looks like a good spot to hold, but it's really not. It's easy for exploders and reekers and wretches to get angles on it, and it can be very scary. See, this is the kind of damage I thought Back2Fort needs to be showing on their survivor side. Look at this. They can't even climb all the way up before they're all dead. That was almost no damage done in the first fight.
Once again, showing that climbing with that exploder makes you a incredible target. And setting up these sight lines, not allowing people to spawn up on this high ground here, can make it very difficult for an aggressive play from our Back2Fort boys here. And as I say that, getting very low, Carly getting knocked initially, and we're getting Doc knocked into the valley, the place you don't want to be, as the wretches farm these points, and they're going for a res here.
This wretch on the right, we're going to see from Kanks. He really needs to die here. If Unit 5 wants a chance to really stabilize, he probably should have. But it looks like the next fight's going to come through, and he has not died. So he's managed to pull himself together and stay alive.
What a Dick engaging very early before they're able to have any backup. And then Mun re-engaging on the tall boy. Getting a knock potentially here, knocking him into the pit. The place you don't want to be, I told you. And they are incapacitated, put into the coffin already. Very little chance they're going to be able to get a res here.
I would go so far as to say that he is entirely out of the game. There's no way the other cleaners can go down and help him, and trying is going to result in more deaths.
Yeah, Doc looking at the body, taking a little glimpse over the edge, and it was not enough. Tallboy coming up behind them and getting a second knock. This is going to be a 2v4 as we have respawns here, as both of the Wretch players are able to re-engage. One locking in the exploder as they come up off the high ground, and a huge knock, taking the one out, put back into the Death Valley, like I said. And this should be a wrap up coming in here. Mom being the last one alive, and they are just knocked in the swarm, trying to get a couple more seconds with those builds they have here.
Evangelo is running a survivalist build. I believe that's going to be Taki on the other team, a regular in our pickup games. We know this is his specialty. He grabs an extra 45 seconds, sometimes even a whole minute just by running around. In this case, he got about 20 seconds for free after the last person on his team went down. Honestly, that's great solo play from him. Fantastic movement. Now, 2 minutes, 11 seconds. Let's be honest, that's pretty bad. But I will also remind everyone, like I said before, it's a very ridden-sided map that we're dealing with right here. So low times are going to be kind of the norm. This is surprisingly still winnable for Unit 5. It's still a really great time for Back2Fort, but it's not completely over, at least not on this map.
Alrighty. And it looks like we're getting the Evangelo potentially on the side of Back2Fort. Or
Right, I
maybe
don't
they're just
think
sitting on the lobby.
I don't
Because they do
believe they
need their mom
ran.
still.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see him
Yeah.
still locking in the mom here. I would be very surprised if in their game to make it to the payoff grand finals, they swapped their mom over to an Evangelo. That would seem like a rather surprising Hail Mary. Mom is probably, in my opinion, the most important pick in the team comp right
Look.
now.
As much as I agree with you most of the time, I am still itching for a map 5 Hoffman to come out of nowhere, play the nades, play the damage. It would make me so excited.
Well, the problem is the biggest effect Hoffman actually has on the team is the increase to ammo capacity, and in Swarm, ammo usually isn't that much of a problem. That would be because the meta is to create a stockpile and resupply every time you rotate to a new location to take another fight. Now, it looks like we may actually have Kank setting up on the corner platform as a hold spot. He's dropped his meds there. Like I said before, that can actually be kind of a death trap because it's really easy for wretches to get angles, to completely cover the whole area with goo. It's also easy for exploders to climb up in different locations without ever actually getting killed in the process. So if they do go set up their stockpile there, I don't think that's a very good idea.
So I don't know if you actually caught that there, but Carly actually got 3 nades out of one of their boxes here, coming off at the start. And Carly is also went over the pit, going a little bit of a trip before the game starts, and was able to grab their propane and is setting it up on the bridge here.
The nice spot for the propane. You know what? Something else to watch is that red barrel on the corner, right at the bottom of the stairs, up to the platform that Mom is now standing on. The red barrel is right underneath them. Here's the wretch looking for that angle I was talking about before.
Tallboy getting burned almost instantaneously, showing the power swap with that weak spot damage. Very dangerous. Second Tallboy getting flashed, and the Wretch is getting a lot of value here. Isn't able to actually be taken down. Doesn't look like they have any long range damage besides the Carly, but hasn't been able to get a shot.
Yes, that's actually surprising to me.
And a knock on the dock this early, almost putting him on the edge. The mom isn't able to get the res here. The exploder coming in. Oh, they did get the res, actually. The mom res going through the exploder point blank, not able to take out any or get the re-knock. And Tallboys are re-engaging here. Nades coming out, and the fight is going to be one of getting their health back.
Well, but you know what? At 1 minute left, we only have 1 nade left.
And our good old friend Doc actually getting swiped by an exploder, it looked like, and knocked into the pit as a knock onto the Holly as well comes through. Red Barrel making a large amount of value here, acting as a bit of a buffer resource-wise. They're actually able to make it back here, but Carly is re-knocked. Exploder point blank might be able to take out Holly as well. Mom is on the edge, getting bullied by this Tallboy nades, keeping them alive. Same with the pills, that temporary health, once again showing how potent it can be. Point blank exploder denying the res, getting some pus, and it might take out the mom. Doc being the last one alive, going for a last minute res. Ridden not able to deny it just yet. But it is going to be a very hard time for our good old friends on Back2Fort to keep it here.
Oh, wow. I mean, with 15 seconds left, it's actually still able to go in either direction. What a dick. Trying desperately to stabilize just off of the healing for the different common with less than 5 seconds to survive. 11 hit points. Can he do it? It's going to entirely come down to his movement, and he can't.
Oh, my God. Talk about bringing it down to the wire.
Well, I did warn you just before, low survival times are common for pipe cleaners. It's a very ridden-sided map. We knew it was going to be rough for both teams heading into it. That has got to hurt. Back2Fort probably very, very upset, thinking they should have won that round, and they were 3 seconds short. I think probably in one of the very first fights, they should have used that red barrel sooner. I don't know if you noticed, but somewhere in the middle, it got blown. It didn't get anything. And if they had used it on one of those first fights, that's a nade that they could have had for that last fight there. I think the Doc also went down with a nade. Very unfortunate. That time is so close. You fixed one mistake on Back2Fort's side, and it could have gone their way instead.
Alrighty. So we're actually coming into Trailer Trashed, I believe this name is. Names are a little bit difficult, but I think I got it that time. And we're actually going to be seeing potential Mun locking the Stinger here. It's kind of risky to swap your strategy to this. This late into the game, one map in, unless you have a large reserve of points and are actually able to buy into the Stinger strategy, I don't know if it's going to be worth it to be locking the Stinger here.
Yeah, what happens is you are definitely de-incentivized from swapping strategies in the middle of a game because you have such a sunk cost into the points you've already spent. You'll notice they're all looking at their upgrades now. They have nothing for Stinger. So if they try to make Stinger work, either they're going to have to put upgrades into it now or maybe they go something else. I know one thing that I'm personally a fan of, I'm surprised we haven't seen yet, is Hawker, because Hawker doesn't require any upgrades at all to get pretty much the same amount of value. Right? I mean, they still technically can benefit from upgrades, but fundamentally, the value they bring to your team fight, which is to shut down one key player on the enemy team every single fight, you don't need any upgrades to do that. You just jump in, hawk someone, jump out, you're good to go. If they are going to swap to a Stinger variant, that's what I would recommend. Looks like maybe they're changing their mind about that, though.
Alrighty. And scavenging phase will be coming to the end here, setting themselves up on the trailer here. We're going to be seeing the first fight starting real soon. And Tallboy's pushing right in, getting hard burned, but the second Tallboy taking this fight to them, knocking them off the trailer, and the Wretches are going to paint the area green. It is going to be a very interesting predicament, not having that high ground that early as they try to salvage their way back up top.
Both Wretches playing the same spot. That's a mistake. Unit 5 will not let it go unpunished. Both Wretches are dead. That leaves no supports to help What a Dick and Kanks on their next engagement with the Tallboys.
Disgusting B-hop coming in from the side of Mun, jumping themselves off the high ground and getting a magnetic hit onto the team, but it's not enough to keep them alive. The Reds coming through, getting almost full health, showing how potent some of these healing cards can be.
I should point out that was 2 nades used by Unit 5 in the last game. They're quite staggered here on the side of Back2Fort. They could potentially find some 1v1s to win.
Oh, the Tallboy not able to secure the kill. Getting some huge damage, actually, onto the side. 2 knocks right now. And they're potentially able to get a second knot, or a third? No? And a re-knock. That is going to be a permanent death unless there's a defibrillator in play. 2 left here. Tallboy hard engaging onto the mom as they jump over the natural geometry here, jumping some fences, jumping around and round, and the Evangelo is going to nade them as the second Tallboy is re-engaging, getting some nice hits. Are they able to get them right off the high ground? They are. This should be a knock here for the Evangelo unless his fire in the hole is able to proc. It is not. 1 left, and this is going to be an exploder point blank. This might be it. Is that a... Yeah, there it is.
Wow, a sub 2-minute time. This one on a map that is not that ridden-sided. The cleaners usually don't have a hard time moving from building to building on this map, either playing the roof or inside with barbed wire. It can force a lot of really dynamic comp swaps out of the ridden team, which can really throw off both their economy and their ability to adequately plan win conditions for every single fight. That didn't end up being a problem here. A sub 2-minute time is objectively bad on this map. This is the opportunity for Back2Fort to take it back. They win this game right here, this round, bring it to round 3, and then they win this, and then they win the next one. Next thing you know, the reverse sweep is in their back pocket.
I believe I am all for the reverse sweep. It's definitely a potential with the map being, honestly very cleaner sided. A lot of high ground to break spawns, natural inside cover. It's going to be about how they play it. This is their shot. This is their ability to take it back. Like you said, get that reverse sweep. It is always in play with esports. If you play it correctly, you can always come back.
Yeah, what I like to say is every team fight is a chance to start winning, right? That applies in any esport at all. Every team fight is the next chance to start winning. You can win every team fight after that, and you can roll it right through to the end of the game and reverse sweep anyone, right? Anyways, gonna hop in here with Pan Fry down, throwing a slumber party on one of the beds. This is where he starts his loot path. Wakes up in the morning, hits snooze on the alarm clock, then realize, oh, zombies are on their way. Probably should not go back to bed. Should probably get up and get to my work.
Nah, I'd hit the snooze.
We'll have to see if Back2Fort is looking to more dynamically use all of the different trailers that they can play inside. Because if Unit 5 comes out on a comp, let's say like Double Stinger or Stinger Wretch, it's very easy for Back2Fort to drop down right into the building underneath the house that What a Dick is currently standing on, and they can take a fight in there while the inside comp is bad for it. Gonna watch What a Dick here for a moment.
Exploder coming up very aggressively at first. Tallboy's trying to just get him off the high ground. Second Tallboy actually getting Mom off the high ground, knocking them off the garage next door. 32 health. The AoE heal from some of their cards triggering, keeping them alive here, but the Mom does get knocked, and Holly may also just from the Rescue, and it is Mom Res coming in, keeping them alive, but knocking the Exploder along with Doc. Holly, the Rescue around in the common are going to get taken out. That is 35 seconds. Our good old friend Carly is going to be the last one alive, trying to get a res in the goo, but canceled from the Tallboy, and they're going to play incredibly aggressively, and that is a 44-second map.
I cannot believe they just let that slip away from them. They had so many grenades. They were so scared to use them. They got greedy. Perhaps they thought less than 2 minutes, it's already in the bag. And then next thing you know, Unit 5 makes one play, knocks them off the high ground, makes one play, splits them up just a little bit, and someone's down. It's okay, they think. Someone's down. That's all right. We have tons of nades. We only need to live 2 minutes. We can take our time getting to them. And then if it looks bad, we'll just pop a nade. Then they drop down to finish the Tallboy, go for the res. Next thing they know, there's Rescue everywhere. They can't go for the res. Holly, who was thinking that they would, stuck in the Rescue, anti-healed, can't use the meds. They could nade, but it's too late because now they've got 2 downs. And they just use the same thought process. It goes all the way to the end until it's over.
Yeah, something, we say, we kind of commend a lot, SD on the Stinger, that those Stinger compositions being so aggressive, it is flashy. But the Wretch anti-heal is potent, right? A lot of those could have been turned just that anti-heal, keeping them down, not letting them use those heals or the sustain. And you have to use those resources. You can't give them the opportunity, because that opportunity came and it got grabbed very quickly.
Yeah. Wow. I honestly, I'm a little bit flabbergasted. I kind of can't believe that just went the way it did. I was so ready for the reverse sweep storyline. I was mentally invested in it. I mean, I was talking with you and with some of our other broadcast staff before we began, and I said Back2Fort was one of my favorites to go to grand finals. My prediction with the other staff was that it was going to be Back2Fort versus Cleaner Crew in the grand finals. This is blowing my mind right now.
If that is some of the stuff we're going to be seeing in the grand finals, I am incredibly excited. That aggressive play, we may be saying how, Back2Fort, we expected some very strong play, but Unit 5, the dark horse, taking it, the potency in a lot of their plays, the amount that they were able to punish any of the mistakes. First round, someone was out of position, the Evangelo dropped early, right? Tallboys took him out, pushed him away, and then anyone who tried to support him, they became the next target.
Right. Wow. I'm going to have to recover from that. I suppose we really, truly underrated Unit 5. That was a staggering display of force from them. Individually, they all made such strong plays to punish everything that Back2Fort failed to do properly.
Mm-hmm.
We will just have to wait and see exactly who is going to meet Unit 5 in the grand finals. Let's talk about that for a moment. So we've seen what Unit 5 is capable of now, and we know that it's scary. On both Cleaner and Ridden's side, they are capable of pulling out some absolutely nasty plays. And if you make a positional mistake in front of them, they will punish it. Cleaner Crew versus the Bearded Men of Space Station 11. What do you think? We've seen both of them play individually. We watched Cleaner Crew on stream earlier tonight, and individually, Sai and I, we have both seen a lot of the players on Bearded Men play. What do we think is going to happen down there? They're playing right now.
Yeah. So, Question Mark was a team that I didn't know. I some of the faces are new. I haven't met them just yet. And Bearded Men, I do know some of them. I know they come to Pugs a lot. They are some pretty strong players. What I will say is I think that we may be overvaluing Cleaner Crew's 2-0, right? IDK yet kind of didn't have a really good, seeding. They were the only matchmaking team that we had from our solo duos. And I think Cleaner Crew might be overhyped. We saw how IDK yet was able to adapt very quickly without any scrim time. I think Bearded Men may be able to take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to guess at the exact details of what's going on in their lobby right now. Unfortunately, we don't have access to it. We can't show it on the broadcast, but we can speculate. I still think I'm championing Cleaner Crew to bring it to the grand finals versus Unit 5, and I think that's going to be a really, really good matchup there. But even if it's not, if we find out that the Bearded Men are apparently able to deal with Cleaner Crew's double stinger strat and they go face Unit 5 in the playoffs, that will surprise me, but that would be an even better game for it, right?
Alrighty. So we're going to be taking a bit of a...
Actually, real quick, just a couple of things, since I think we have some new viewers in the chat as well. Wanted to remind them of just a couple of things. First off, if any of this looks fun to you, if this looks interesting, if you've never seen it before, if you want to get involved, you can head down to our Discord. It's down in the panel buttons beneath the stream, and you can hop in. You can meet other people who play Swarm. You can come to pick up games to play with them. You can make teams. You can even participate in the next event. Being in the Discord is how you're going to get announcements for that kind of thing. You'll be notified. The other option, of course, you can go ahead and follow our Twitter, which is also linked down there. We post memes. Later, we may be posting some guides. We also are releasing more information about future events. There's a lot of really nice stuff in both of those places. There's one more thing I wanted to say, which is there's a tips button down there, which we haven't pointed to yet. Running these events is a crazy amount of fun, and we love doing it, and we love you guys, but it also takes a lot of work, and we do it for free. We don't get paid for this. So anyone who wants to, obviously it's totally optional. You can head down into the tips button and you can send us some gratuity. It helps make it worth our time financially and not just be emotionally fulfilling as much as it is. We absolutely love doing this, but it makes it a little easier for us to spend more of our time doing this if we're getting a little bit of money for it. So,
Alrighty. Yeah, everything you said sounds like we're spewing, but and also don't forget to hit the follow button on the Twitch channel. That way, anytime we are live in the future, if we're doing any more events, you also get pinged there. So I think that covers all the bases. We're gonna be waiting, and we're gonna be getting back to some blood. Get your head in.
We will hop back into the Back for Blood gameplay content soon with the grand finals. That's going to be best of 5, not best of 3. Should be an absolute fantastic experience. Can't wait to see you guys there. We will see you.